News from the borderland. This is EPAS Unleashed. Hi everyone, welcome to EPAS Unleashed. I'm your host, Jessica Navarro, and today we have a very special guest. As you can see, this guest is not here in El Paso, Texas, but she has decided to join us, which we're very excited about. It's Stacy from the Community Cat Podcast. Welcome, Stacy.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. So just starting off, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Stacy?
Sure. Well, I started in animal welfare back in 1994, and I got involved with the Merrimack River Feline Rescue Society. And I ran that organization for about 16 years. And it was one of those times where I just learned how to work with community cats, get involved with trap, neuter, return. We worked with 300 cats on our Newburyport waterfront in Massachusetts. And I just kept on growing and growing. And I moved to Vermont around 2013 and started the podcast in 2016. So I am now the host of the Community Cats podcast, 500 episodes later. And really trying to turn your passion for cats into action. That's really the name of the game. For anybody who's out there who's trying to help cats, I'm their best friend because I want to help anybody who's passionate about cats really turn it into action. So that's really what I'm all about. That's who I am. It's just I love cats.
and so do we. So do I. So we're really excited to have you here. Because we want to, get a little bit of insight on everything that you know. You have so much experience, and you have an amazing podcast. We definitely want to strive to get to the 500 episode mark. We're just starting off, so. Speaking about that, we are going to be talking about community cats. That's what the episode is going to be centered around. Can you tell us a little bit about your mission, your visions, and just what you do in general?
Yeah, so I would say that my vision is a world where every cat has what it needs, basically. So if a cat needs medical attention, there's access to affordable medical attention. Needs access to spay neuter, there's that is available in the community. If they need someone to help with feeding a community cat or a home for the cat, every cat has a different package of needs, and I would love to have an environment created where we're able to assist that cat, support that cat in whatever way it's needed. So there's my dream. That's my dream world for sure.
Yes. And I mean, we share similar dreams because we definitely want that here in El Paso, Texas. And can you speak? You said that you're from Vermont, or you're located in Vermont right now.
Yep, I am. I'm located in Vermont. Yep.
Okay. So, and in Vermont, do you all have a lot of community cats over there?
Well, there certainly is trap, neuter, return in our communities. In New England, most states have done trap, neuter, return for many years, since probably the mid-90s. So there's probably fewer community cats than you would have in other parts of the country. We also have had a lot of very low cost, affordable spay neuter services available for the owned cat community, for owners of cats that need assistance. As your income level goes down, the number of cats you have go up. So therefore, that's why it's so critically important to make sure that there is accessible and affordable spay neuter services for owned cats. I always say it starts with Adam and Eve. And so we are about focusing in on getting Adam and Eve spayed and neutered before they get let out into the big wide world and meet each other, and it's those feral kittens that are out there, the community kittens that are out there that have a really tough time. And we really want to eliminate kittens out in that public space. And so through spay neuter, that's how you do it, through the own side of things. So New England has a lot lower community cat situation for TNR than other parts of the country, but I just think it's because we've had such a focus on spay neuter over all the years.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, backing up a little bit, can you just explain for maybe the viewers that don't know what a community cat is and what TNR is?
Sure, yes. So, the way that I define community cats are basically cats with four paws on the ground and that they are living outside, indoor, outdoor, just pretty much any cat that sort of touches the outdoor world in some way, shape, or form. That's a community cat. And in my world, all of our community cats are spayed or neutered, vaccinated for rabies, and they have an ear tip, which is just a little bit of a snip off the ear to be able to identify them as being a sterilized cat. Trap, neuter, return is the process of getting those community cats fixed. And so, what we will do is you'll have volunteers or you'll have a caretaker borrow traps, rent traps, and set traps to get those community cats to bring them to a spay neuter clinic, to get them spayed or neutered, rabies vaccinated, ear tipped. They recover overnight and then they're released, or sometimes they're even released same day, depending on the veterinarian. But in general, it's a 24-hour period. And then, if all those cats in that colony get spayed or neutered, then you're not going to have any more kittens.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, the goal here too. In our at our shelter, we do have a community cat program, but not a lot of our community members know exactly how it works. So that's why we're definitely trying to get the word out there so that more community members can participate in this program because it does work. We just need that support from our community to implement this and to really get it going. Can you talk a little bit about the benefits of TNR?
Certainly. So, when I first started back in the middle of the 90s, there were many kittens on the Newburyport waterfront, and they were very sickly. We actually had one litter of kittens that had tested positive for rabies. And I know rabies isn't as prevalent in Texas as it is in New England, but we did have that. And we also had a situation where some of the cats were living in the boats on the waterfront. A person took a baseball bat to those cats. So there was a lot of sort of negativity and violence and that kind of thing. And we got the cats all trapped, spayed and neutered. Some of the kittens, we brought those in, the friendly adults we brought in. And, at the end of the day, the local businesses on the Newburyport waterfront, the boat owners, everybody loved those cats. Once they were healthy, they were spayed, neutered, they looked good. We had feeding stations and shelters for the cats so they weren't going into the boats to be in the boats during the cold winters. It went from one side to the other. It was like all this negative energy. And then they're like, oh, this is so positive, to the point that as our colony started aging out, our mayor called me up and said, I heard you have a barn relocation program. Are you taking cats off the waterfront for the barn relocation? And I said, no, 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 no. These are cats that have to be removed. And they were like, oh, good, because we need to keep those cats. We need those cats on the waterfront because they're doing a job. And so it really is a very positive thing when the cats are all spayed and neutered. People think that cats are, nasty, they get into trouble. When they're not spayed or neutered, they're going to fight, they're going to howl, they're going to make noise. But once you get the whole group fixed, it's a whole different environment. And I just feel like people need to give that a shot.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, these are living creatures. They're here. It's not their fault that they're out there. And like you said, there's so many benefits after they get spayed or neutered. So definitely participating in that community cat program is going to change everything. I know that a lot of people are, like you said, cats are nasty, or they're getting into my yard, they're making messes. But a lot of those issues get solved with spaying and neutering.
Yeah, it's very, very easy. And if you have owned cats and you let your own cats out and they're getting into fights, it's really important to make sure that they're fixed also.
Yeah, definitely. And then, of course, there are some community members that do really like these colonies. Can you give us some tips on how to keep these cats happy and healthy? I know we spoke a little bit, about of course, getting them spayed or neutered, but just some other tips on keeping these cats happy.
Sure. We actually have a webinar that we do in partnership with an organization called Neighborhood Cats, which has an incredible amount of information on their website, called Colony Caretaking Tips and Tricks. It's a free webinar. It's right on our YouTube page. We actually have a channel, a TNR education channel, which has a whole listing of all of our free webinars that we've offered over the last couple of years. But I definitely would recommend folks check that out. Colony Caretaking Tips and Tricks talks about providing shelter, feeding, how to feed, when to feed. If you're in a very warm climate, it may be best to feed at 11 or 12 at night when it's a little bit cooler, when the cats will actually come out. You really shouldn't leave food out, though, for long periods of time. Scatter feeding is not something that we want to do. And so there are a lot of tips and tricks from that standpoint, to be able to help with cats. And how many feeding stations should you have, or how many shelters should you have based on the number of cats you have that you see in your area. So there's a lot of different bits of pieces of information out there for folks to consider when they're trying to provide for your cats. And I mean, I have seen beautiful shelters that, like, I could almost live in it, right? And then there's, other types of very affordable, mass-produced opportunities for people to provide perfectly appropriate shelter for your cats. So don't think like you have to have $1 million for this. It's very easy to provide appropriate shelter for the cats, and you just, be creative, and your cats will be very appreciative of it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we, like you said, that is a really great resource that we will definitely share with our community because it has a lot of great tips. Here we do have, some neighborhoods that don't necessarily know about the feeding, so that's definitely something that we want to get out to our community, because a lot of times we see that they'll leave the food out throughout the day, and having those feeding schedules, it really benefits the cats to have specific times instead of leaving the food out all day.
Oh, agree with you 100%. And also, if that cat does get injured, or if you need to trap that cat, having a regular feeding schedule makes life so much easier.
Yeah, definitely. So speaking on trapping, can we talk about tips on trapping? Because I know I get a lot of community members that they want to participate, they just don't know how to go about trapping. So definitely, we want to get some tips from you, the expert.
So one thing I always ask folks is, when you're thinking about trapping cats, are you doing it for a few cats in your backyard, or is this something you want to help the overall community? Because your skill levels or your training level will be a little bit different for each scenario. If you are planning on trying to trap 3 cats in your backyard, the first thing you're going to learn how to do is using a box trap, and which are either a tomahawk or a true catch trap, and they're a gravity fed door. And we do have another workshop called Trappers Tips and Tricks, which is a webinar on YouTube, as well as a TNR certification workshop, which you don't have to get certified, but it's a TNR workshop. So it's showing you how to learn how to trap cats and what the whole process is like, because I find a lot of people, what they think it is and what it really is are two different things. And so they get very surprised when you're actually out there, you're trapping, you get a cat, and the cat gets very agitated. And people are like, oh, I didn't think this was going to happen. Or the cat pees all over your car. Oh, I didn't think this was going to happen. Right. So, this is a really good way for you to look through, to watch, to learn, and to maybe say, okay, I'll take care of the 3 in my backyard, but after that, this really isn't for me. Or, wow, this looks really cool. I'm going to learn how to do this, but then I'm going to go on to a more advanced and learn how to do drop trapping or mass trapping, to like trap 20 or 30 cats at one time in the same area. So, some people really want to take it to that next level and be a very active trapper from within the community. And other people, they just want to take care of the 3 cats in their backyard. Both totally fine, just a different type of trapping. And, but you do need to be comfortable with the trap. and you definitely should practice before you actually try to go out there. So develop a regular feeding schedule is really important. You can also set your traps so the door doesn't come down, so that the cats get comfortable being fed in the trap, so that they'll get trapped that way. But I highly recommend folks do one of our webinars or do our TNR certification workshops before they go out there and actually try and trap.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that virtual education that you all offer is amazing. I think that it's so necessary, and we hope that some of our community members can definitely jump on that and learn from you all, because it's definitely a really great, a really cool education tool that you all have.
Oh, thank you.
And of course, after they trap, sometimes people don't know what to expect after they trap. Can you speak a little bit about that?
So when a cat is trapped, you immediately cover the cat so the cat stays calm, quiet, feels safe, um, and you'll keep the cat in the trap before you take it to the veterinarian. And depending on what your relationship is with the veterinarian, they'll tell you when they want the cat delivered and how they want the cat delivered. So they may want to not have anything in the trap but the cat, because they're going to anesthetize the cat through the caging. And other places may be more flexible. So you'll want to make sure you've got your trap identified. Make sure there's a name tag on there, the colony, where it's located, so that then you don't have that confusion. You don't want to have cats get confused or mixed up. Obviously, you'll have a protective layering in your car when you take the cat to the vet. If you're holding the cat before you deliver it to the vet, you'll want to make sure that it's not too hot and not too cold. And I think in probably your world, it's worrying about being too hot. So you want to make sure that it is in as much of a stable temperature area as possible. And then, when you bring the cat in the car, you're going to make sure that you have we have something called a Mamby blanket, or like a shower curtain, plastic shower curtain, trash bags, something lining your car, so that then if the cat does go to the bathroom in the car, you've got that all taken care of, and that's your car is protected. Um, don't worry. Your veterinarian's going to tell you, or your clinic will tell you whether or not you want to allow the cat to have water before surgery, or when food should be pulled, so that then the cat doesn't get sick during surgery. And then afterwards, the vet will tell you when it's okay to put food in. You're using that trap is like a little mini cage for the community cat. So it's not like you have to go put it in a bathroom and then get it. You leave it right in the trap the whole time. You're never going to touch this cat. You don't want to stick your hand in a trap. The whole beautiful part about dealing with trap, neuter, return is that it's trap, neuter, return. It's not trap, stick hand in trap, pet cat, that kind of thing. Because the cat's not going to want to be pet. Most cats are not going to want to be pet. So keep safe. And you do not want that cat to bite you, because it means that cat's going to be isolated, and you might have to go to the ER to get an antibiotic. So do not play with the cats in the trap. I can't say that even more strongly. Do not try and pick up cats and put them in the trap. Just let the food do the trapping. Don't pick them up and say, "Oh, I'll put them in there," or "I'll put them in a carrier." It's so much more simple just to let them be trapped. After they've had their surgery, you let them recover the necessary time, and then release them back where they came from. You'll come with a covered trap, put them down, and you pull the cover off, because cats like to go into the dark spaces. So once you remove the dark space, the cat will want to run and go back to the area that it's most familiar.
Yeah, and that's really important, is the return aspect, returning them back to the area that they know. Um, of course, we do have the community members that they just want to get rid of these cats. Can we speak a little bit about that?
Sure. So in many cases, I'll just use for example. So in 1990, there was a dumpster behind a restaurant in Newburyport that had 35 cats. Those cats were trapped. They were removed and euthanized. by an organization. By 1992, another 35 cats and kittens were living in that dumpster. That same organization was called to come to trap and remove and euthanize those cats. And they said, nope, sorry, we're not going to come back because it obviously didn't work. You have to figure something else out. It was actually the best thing that that organization could have done, because then the Newburyport Chamber of Commerce, our businesses, were part of creating a solution for cats in the area. And so that's how our TNR program started in Newburyport. So that's what's called the vacuum effect. And so if the cats in your backyard are trapped and removed, you think you've gotten rid of them. You don't have brick walls built all around your backyard. So the cats from the other areas are going to move in, and you'll see them coming through your backyard. Even if you don't put food out, other community cats will come in and will fill that void. So by sterilizing or spaying and neutering those cats, they're actually going to defend the area as their territory, and you won't have as many unspayed or neutered cats in your area there. And the spayed or neutered cats, the fixed cats, they're not going to fight like the other cats. If you don't want cats in your backyard, we do have Neighborhood Cats on their website has a handout on ultrasonic devices and like the automatic water sprayers, and that can be used to deter cats from the backyard. So you can just do deterrence in the search bar in the Neighborhood Cats website, and you'll get a listing of all the different options there. So if that's the case, then you can go that route. But if you really want those cats to be less in numbers, the pressures to be reduced, spay neuter is the way to go.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Like you're saying, I mean, we see here a lot of people that there's a lot of cat lovers here, and then there's of course those neighborhood members that they just want to get rid of the cats, but they don't understand that whole vacuum effect that you just explained. So we hope that that changes their mind, because, like you said, it's just not working. We used to do it here, and we would trap. Neuter and eliminate, or sorry, trap and eliminate, and it just wasn't working, and it's not going to work anywhere. So I'm so glad that we have our community cat program to do the TNR here, because like you said, it's just not working, and it was going to continue to just be an issue here. So of course, how can we support your show? Because you guys do so much great work, and we talked about some of the resources that you have on your website, but tell us more.
So yeah, please do check out communitycatspodcast.com. We have 26 online events every year. And then we have our podcast, which comes out every Tuesday. I interview a whole range of different people. Again, these are all folks that have turned their passion for cats into action. So I really would recommend that you check that out. Even if you are not a cat lover, I recommend you try some of our shows out. I've got a webinar in there about strategies on how to reduce the cat population so that the bird population is more protected. I have spoken with Fish and Wildlife, as well as Audubon folks, about how we can work together, collaboratively, because at the end of the day, we all want fewer cats outside. And if you are going to make a difference, make sure your own cats are spayed and neutered or neutered. Make sure that they are fixed. Make sure your own cats are fixed, because I said it starts with Adam and Eve. These community cats were started by some owned house cats that were released outside and able to have kittens. And 50 to 70% of kittens don't make it through the first year that are born outside. And it's not fun. It's not a fun time for the mom, for the kittens. And so the best thing any one of us can do is really work hard to make sure that everybody's cats are spayed and neutered. And then also you'll see the impact in the community with a TNR program, and then getting all of the owned cats in your community fixed. You'll have beautiful times. The job will be done. We'll be there.
Exactly. So before we close off the episode, I do want to say I found a quote on your website that says, "From East Coast to West Coast, ear tips save lives," and I think that that's the perfect way to sum up this episode. Because it doesn't matter if you know you're, like you said, the East Coast or West Coast, it's happening everywhere, and we really want to, like you said, control that population of community cats. And the best way to do it is to, visit your shelters, learn about the community cat programs that they might have in place. And if they don't have them in place, reach out to you. I know that you all help organize that. Can you speak on that just a little bit?
To what specifically are you asking for me to reference? I have so much going on. I just never know what to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I know that you all implement these, like the community cat, in areas that might not have those resources. Can you just speak a little bit about some of that?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I do work with many organizations. I do a lot of consulting. My passion is around a process called the Community Cat Pyramid, trying to help communities. So, say you are an humane society, and then there's three other organizations. One's maybe a foster home group, and another one maybe even a dog rescue. But how to get everybody together collaboratively in a town, in a city, to really be able to address the cat overpopulation issue. So I try to create synergies to make sure we have all the pieces of the puzzle together in a community. Because if you just have a TNR program, but you don't have access to affordable spay neuter, or you don't have an adoption program, you're going to fall behind. You're not going to be able to do everything that the community needs. So I think it's important for groups to, create this like magical soup for, for your resources to be able to achieve certain goals, because I just feel like we expect a lot if we're TNRing, trap neuter returning 30% of the cats in a colony. We think that that's going to be enough, and it's not going to be enough to move the needle. We have to really strive to be as a high volume, as close to 100% in our colonies as possible, because the cats just get pregnant so fast. So folks, don't think that someone else could be the solution. We all have to be the solution. And what I am hearing, 70% of the people who take our trap neuter return certification workshops are doing this all on their own. So don't feel like it has to be animal control. It has to be a nonprofit humane society. It can be you. You can be the one doing this too. And that's really important to me.
Yeah, and that's perfect. I think we can sum up this episode with that note, because we really want the community to participate and to help us out here in El Paso. And we thank you so much for joining us. I know that you are really busy, and we hope that the community visits your website, checks out your amazing episodes and your webinars and everything, because you're doing some great work. And I'm honored to have you here on our podcast.
Thank you so much, Jessica. And anyone can email me at Stacy, Stacy, at communitycatspodcast.com.